Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today is going to be the first part of a requested Kuroo Angst. It was requested by this user. I'm not going to try to pronounce it because I know that I will butcher it, but a special thanks for them for this amazing idea because I immediately just hyperfixated on it. While this is a Kuroo Angst, this first part is going to be in Kenma's point of view because you know we need a little fluff before we get into the angst. And do not worry, this is heavy angst with a happy ending. I'm still taking requests, so leave your requests in the comments. I hope you guys enjoy. Hello my lovely viewers. Looking for some affordable and good quality anime merch? Want to support your favorite Haikyuu team or join UA? What about joining the Straw Hat Pirates for an adventure or two? Want to join the Black Bulls or the Fairy Tail Guild? Well, this site has that and so much more. Use my discount code and receive 10% off your entire order. Link and code is in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Are you sure this is what you all want to see? Kenma warily crinkled his brow, eyeing the chat to his livestream, immediately meeting their eager responses. Yes. Duh, we wouldn't have voted if not. Where is he? The gamer chuckled, turning to Kuroo, who was standing out of view of the camera. The cause of events from last week somehow ended up with them streaming in the kitchen of all places. Kenma ended up hitting a new milestone with subscribers and wanted to thank his viewers by doing a stream of their choice. Kenma and the kitchen are a horrible match, which is exactly why they settled for just that, a baking stream. You're impossible. He rolled his eyes teasingly at the camera, but smiled nonetheless. Seriously, what business did a gamer have streaming in the kitchen? It wasn't even about video games. The irony was questions about games still popped in the chat. He already knew and awaited edits going viral for his clumsiness in the kitchen in the near future. That was the reality of his life. Kuroo just so happened to be in the gaming room when he was streaming when the idea was set to stream in the kitchen. The viewers practically begged for the Raven to be in the stream, and not wanting to disappoint, Kuroo couldn't turn them down. Hey guys! Kuroo jumped into the view of the camera, giving his signature smirk. Immediately the chat went wild. OMG. Why hello handsome. Finally. Alright, settle down now. Jeez Tetsu, you're stealing the show. He teased, laughing in between his words. The chat was always so predictable. While his channel was mostly based on gaming, they were equally supportive when he came out to them, and even introduced his boyfriends, with their permission of course. Some didn't support, and that was fine by him. There was no sense in keeping people who couldn't even support his sexuality. As far as he was concerned, they would more than likely never meet, and it certainly wasn't hurting them. The Raven wrapped a hand around the gamer's waist, pressing a meaningful kiss into his temple. Even now, trolls would pop into the chat, throwing in their opinion. Ew, did that dude just kiss another dude? The comment disappeared before his eyes, before he could even finish reading it. He was forever thankful for his moderators that fought off against the hateful comments and managed to chat to the best of their ability. While he never saw most of them, he was still able to catch glimpses of them before they vanished. Unfortunately, they were more persistent when his boyfriends came into view. He bit his lip, once again feeling guilty for his moderators. Alright, well, you're getting what you asked for. What are we making again? Looking at the counter, he realized he didn't know the first thing about baking. While he can make simple things for himself, actual baking from scratch was out of the question. Now he was relieved Kuroo was practically guilt-tripped into joining. Apple pie. How could you forget that? Right. He was so caught up in his mind. Once again, the joys of streaming. The bitter feeling was replaced by him salivating, thinking about apple pie. That's if he didn't burn the house down in the process. With Kuroo here, it shouldn't pose a problem. Hopefully. Right. Instinctively, he looked towards the chat. Handsome and smart. To be fair, I don't think he's ever seen a kitchen before. Give him a break. Hey now, I too have been in the kitchen. He huffed, turning his attention back to the recipe. First, they started by peeling the apples, and eventually it was just Kuroo who ended up peeling the rest after he accidentally cut his finger. Twice. He could feel the chat sniggering at him, but ignored it, putting gloves over the fresh band-aids. After they were peeled, the raven sliced them so they could be edible when cooked. Now we make the crust. He smiled, actually feeling proud of himself. He never realized how dependent he became on Kuroo and Akashi's cooking until then, but it was nice to be in the kitchen every once in a while. While he admits he shouldn't be alone in the kitchen, it was great for future reference to help Keiji with dinner time to time. Aww, look at that adorable smile. Kuroo cooed, poking his index finger to his cheek, ultimately spreading flour that caked to his hands. Kenma gasped, feeling the food smear across his skin. Kuroo Tetsuro. Oof, tough luck, buddy. Better run. Full name. Game over. We lost a soldier. Finding the first thing he could grab, Kenma took it and dumped the contents on Kuroo. To his mortifying discovery, it was the entire bag of flour. Kenma incredulously gasped, slapping his hands to his mouth to contain the laughter that bubbled in his chest at the sight of Kuroo covered head to toe in the white powder. His eyes were sealed shut, and he coughed, causing a puff of flour to explode, causing even more of a mess. While it might have been terrifyingly silent in the kitchen, the chat roared in comments that he couldn't bother looking at. Ken. Oh shit. He was in trouble. Flour dusted over his eyelashes, which made it very clear when Kuroo finally pried his eyes open. A mischievous grin smeared on his face, and each vile chuckle sent more powder to the floor. It seems I've been too clingy with Keiji lately. I don't want you to think I've forgotten about you. Come here, I'll give you a hug. No, Tetsu, don't you dare. He ducked beneath the table, laughing hysterically when the giant bumped his head trying to follow and grabbed him by the ankles, dragging him back to the open. Kuroo smeared the flour that coated his hair by rubbing his face into the blonde's torso. He bumped it up to the next level by wiggling his fingers into his side, mercilessly tickling him. Tetsu, stop! Mercy! Suffice with the damage done, Kuroo sat back on his heels, admiring his work. Kenma pouted, laying on the floor and catching his breath from laughing too hard, before remembering the stream. Flushed, he stood up, running to the chat. Hey yo, get a room. Kids, close your eyes. Nice hair. Looks like your roots finally got touch-ups. Am I the only one who got diabetes from the amount of fluff we just witnessed? Kenma gazed back into the camera, mirroring his reflection, and the sight was horrendous. Once sitting in a low ponytail, the rubber band somehow moved itself to the right and barely held any of his hair anymore. Loose strands stuck up like he'd fought lightning rather than his lover. Not to mention the amount of flour he was covered in. He was a complete and total mess. Just as things couldn't get any worse, a voice rang through the house as the door shut. Kenma and Kuroo froze, realizing that there was no way they could hide the mess. Two pairs of footsteps walked their way and immediately halted, seeing the destruction done to the kitchen. Tetsu, Kenma, we're Sharp golden eyes narrowed at the scene, and a choked gasp from Akashi followed. Kenma stopped them as soon as they tried stepping into the frame of the camera. Wait, I'm streaming. He flashed an apologetic look towards Akashi, who stilled. While Kuroo and Bokuto were open and occasionally popped into his streams to make their presence known, Akashi was the only one who decided to stay out of view until he was ready. In complete understanding, Kenma has done his best to accommodate for that. That is until now. In the kitchen? Per request. Keiji's lips thinned, setting 2 bags of groceries on the ground, and smiled. Well, I'll leave it to you. Just make sure to clean up. Bokuto picked up the groceries and marched into the kitchen and then waved into the camera. I saw your match last weekend and you were amazing. Oh my god, we have 2 boyfriends online? Aw, I wanted to see the other one. Kenma frowned at the last comment. He didn't appreciate his lover being referred to as the other one, but also understood that it didn't even know his name. Alright everyone, I ask that you please respect my boyfriend's privacy. Doesn't it get exhausting, having to accommodate for such a selfish... The comment disappeared before he could finish reading it again. He buried the fury that burned in his chest and grabbed a bag of flour that Akashi somehow knew to get, and started baking the crust once more. Bokuto had gone to the bathroom to shower after a long day of practice, and Akashi was in the study, probably binging the book. It's what he normally did whenever he was streaming to burn the time. Kenma once did a 72-hour stream for winning an award and suffered the repercussions of it when his health declined. Even during that time, Kuroo and Bokuto came in periodically to make sure he had food and kept him company when sleep was the only thing on his mind. During those 72 hours, he only received the short text messages from Akashi. He swore he'd never do something like that ever again. Not to bore Keiji. He recalled after the 72 hours, he sobbed hysterically into Keiji's arms, guilt gnawing at him for leaving him for 3 days. As if reading his mind, Kuroo did his best to lighten the mood, already knowing what weighed down on his mind. Alright, now all we do is wait, and then we will have a fresh apple pie. He cheesed, wrapping his arms around the blonde's waist and pulled him into his lap after sitting down on one of the chairs from the table. Tetsu, I can't see the chat from here. He whined, teasing an elbow into his side. Good. Kuroo turned to the chat with a smirk. Hate to break it to ya, but Ken is mine. He winked before placing a passionate kiss on his lips and refused to pull away until Kenma was out of breath. He flushed, nearly the same shade as the discarded apple peel still sitting on the counter. Leave it to Kuroo to make a bold public announcement such as that. He jumped out of his lap and ran to the chat to try to calm the chat, but it seemed nearly impossible. His hair was still a disheveled mess, and now he was breathing heavy and flustered. Yeah. Not a good sight. Whoa. OMG. This is why I ship them so damn hard. Not looking. Promise. I'm squealing, simultaneously screaming, crying, throwing up. The chat went faster than he could even keep track of. He really was going to have to give his special thanks to his moderators after this. He paused, catching one comment that was filtered from the rest that was caught by his channel's help for review comments. I fucking hate Kuroo Tetsuro. I swear, I'll... Dread pulled in the stomach when the comment disappeared. The once warm atmosphere now chilled him to the bone. For once, he wished that the moderators didn't delete the comment. He wanted to see the comment. He needed to. It wasn't often he received threats, but they did come. But never once did he receive one that wasn't regarding him. It was Kuroo. Someone threatened Kuroo. He shook his head, trying desperately to convince himself that every threat he received were empty ones, and this would be no different. But the fact that this was his first one about his lovers, forgetting wasn't so easy. He flinched when the timer for the pie buzzed. Kuroo eyed him in concern while reaching for the pan in the oven. The gooey pie still bubbled, escaping the poor attempt they made to make a cat design with the dough. The room smelled of cinnamon, and it wasn't just the kitchen. Both Bokuto and Akashi came back, careful to stay out of view while waiting for a slice of pie. Kenma laughed, rubbing his face where he felt dough crack beneath his skin from sitting too long. It smells so good. Despite the warnings that it just came out of the oven, Bokuto took a heaping spoonful and shoved it down his throat, seemingly unfazed. It tastes good too. Don't worry, chat, we'll live to see another day. Kuroo slapped Bokuto on the shoulder, silently scolding him that Kenma gave it his best attempt. It wasn't perfect, but he was proud. Akashi grabbed Kenma by the collar and pulled him over the counter so that he stayed out of sight and placed a small kiss on his lips. licking the remnants of the caramelized apples from his mouth. You did good, my little chef. Kenma really needed to go over some rules with his partners about the amount of PDA they could do while on stream. While he generally wouldn't mind, he'd come to the conclusion they did it on purpose to get a reaction out of him. He was a little too aware of thousands and sometimes tens of thousands of people watching him become a flustered mess. Did you hear his voice? The secret lover sounds absolutely stunning. The gamer smiled, reading the comments. Yeah, that was his boyfriend. Keiji was nothing short of perfection. He was beautiful, smart, and talented. He sometimes found himself questioning how he even managed to convince him to date him. Kenma was nothing special. He never took the time to manage his looks, and he prioritized gaming or napping instead of studying. His only talent was the ability to game. Without that, he was nothing. Alright everyone, I did my baking, and let me just say, it wasn't exactly terrible, if Kuroo didn't cause this mess. Hey! But this concludes today's stream. He thanked his followers once again for the milestone and ended the stream. Once the camera was off, and he made sure of it after one too many times of it not being the case, he slumped to the floor that was still sprinkled in flour. Akashi walked around the counter, sitting on the floor not caring about the flour that was soiling his clothes, and pulled the exhausted gamer into his arms. You did great, love. He responded to the comforting touch by nuzzling into the raven's neck and wrapping his arms and legs around his torso. His social battery was drained beyond measure. He wasn't even sure he had the strength to rid himself of the flour Kuroo so thoughtfully covered him in. Ko, do you mind helping? He laughed sheepishly when he tried to get up, but the awkward stance was difficult with Kenma lashed onto him. The ace effortlessly pulled him to his feet. Where are we going? To the bathroom. You need a shower. Jeez, we'll probably be fighting flour for days. He grumbled, not having the energy to bathe himself. The raven giggled, rubbing his back. Don't worry, I'm dirty now too, so I'll join you in the shower. To his relief, he sunk into the embrace even further, eternally grateful for Akashi. It seemed he always caused problems, and the raven was nothing but a perfect solution. What about me? Looking over Akashi's shoulder, Kenma eyed the toddler who pouted. You have a mess to clean. Don't think I didn't know you started it. I watched back on the stream, sweetheart. Clean the kitchen and then we'll talk. Akashi swayed his hips, holding Kenma by the bottom, walking to the bathroom. Damn, he's so sexy when he gets like that. I'll second that. Kenma could confirm that as a true fact. Before Akashi turned the corner, however, Kenma couldn't keep his gaze from the setup that planted the seed of paranoia that boiled in the pit of his stomach. Glancing at Kuroo, he felt even more anxiety. It's fine. It was just an empty threat. Everything is fine. Kuroo is fine. All will be fine. Alright, this concludes the first part of Bleeding Hearts. I hope you guys like it. Also, please bear with me. My voice, I'm still sick, so my voice is struggling, and you can tell whenever I get further into the video, the more I struggle. So do not let this fluff fool you, because the next part is when we will start getting into the angst. So prepare yourselves. But I wanted to thank you guys so much. Honestly, if I did not have as much support and encouragement as I do from this community, I would not have gone as far as I have gotten. So you guys are keeping this channel alive. Thank you. And I will see you next week.